Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope we're all well. It's Roberto back again with a video. I know it's been a little while, but had some exams on, so it's great to be back for the final game week preview and team selection. Also, this will be a chance to answer any questions you've got for the final game week of the season. It's weird how this season's been. It's been a big roller coaster of a season, but it's also been fun. It's been entertaining. And it's been tough at times, I have to be honest. This season's been a massive slog for many managers. There's been a lot of sort of variance, and it's been the sort of FPL season where it feels like it's punished the planners and it's carried the casuals. It's been that sort of season where things that you think are logical, you put in place for a plan, and then it goes completely against that. And for those that have just kind of taken it one game week at a time and picked the obvious players, sort of the casual play, it's kind of worked out for them. So fair play. But yeah, looking forward to this one. So do get in the questions for Game Week 38 in the live chat. And make sure if you are watching this back or if you're watching live to smash a like on the video, subscribe for more content on the FPL Yellow Army channel. And talking of more content, don't forget that the Form is Temporary podcast's last two episodes of the 24-25 season will be coming very, very soon. The first one releasing on the 22nd of May, so that's this Thursday morning. We're really excited for that one. There's going to be a really good Game Week 38 preview with the legend that is FPL tactician Andy Martin will be there. So that will be a really good fun one. So stay tuned for that on Thursday morning. And also alongside him, FPL Lord Officius, I think that's how you pronounce it, or Ophiuchus. It's basically Ophiuchus is like one of the Greek gods. I think it's the serpent bearer. But no, he's a really nice guy, FPL Lord Officius. If you don't already follow him on Twitter, go over and check his account out. But lovely, lovely people. So yeah, we're really excited for that Game Week 38 Form is Temporary podcast return. It's been a while. I think our last episode was something like the 10th of April. So yeah, it's been about 42 days since we've had an episode out. So that'll be really good fun. And then we'll have our last ever of the season for the foreseeable future. Obviously, I've finished all my exams and assessments and submissions. So I'll basically be job hunting this summer after my uni degree and don't know where I will be in terms of availability. So fingers crossed at some point the Form is Temporary podcast, whether it is next season or the season after, can come back. We're hoping to kind of get us back, but with myself and Chris, we're not sure what we'll be doing job-wise, so we'll have to see. But we will be having our end of season 2024-25 review after that first Game Week 38 preview. So that will be coming Thursday, as I said. But then the Game Week review will probably be coming the Thursday after that on the Thursday, which I think is the 20. I believe it's the 29th, the Thursday of May. So stay tuned for that. On Spotify, you can follow the Form is Temporary podcast. And if I've got the time, I might not, but if I have got the time, I'll try and post those episodes on this YouTube channel, FPL Yellow Army, as well. But let's get into it. Thanks for those that joining the live stream, and let's get into how I got on in Game Week 37 before I look at what I'm thinking of doing for the final game week. And yeah, feel free to ask any questions you've got about the final game week, any sort of transfer dilemmas you've got, feel free. So my Game Week 37 then, I went into it off the back of a pretty annoying red arrow, back-to-back red arrows, in fact, taking hits in both weeks. And it really just hadn't worked out, really, because I captained Kevin De Bruyne in that Southampton game, which, you know, on paper looked great, but you know, City had 26 shots and just weren't clicking on that day. So it was frustrating Game Week 36 for me. And so I thought, let's just not take a hit this time. Let's just try and make the one free transfer. And I had a few sort of options, but I ended up deciding that there were rumours of Isak potentially being injured. Not the fact that many people would expect him to not play in Game Week 37, but I just had this nagging doubt about Isak, and Everton is going to be a fixture now that Newcastle are going to go for in Game Week 38. But I don't think it's an easy fixture for the Magpies, because Everton defensively have been really strong this season. And they, of course, got a 0-0 draw last time out against Newcastle. But now that they lost that Arsenal game, Newcastle have got a huge, huge match on Sunday. So we'll be interested to see if Isak is fit and available or whether he is ruled out. We'll have to wait and see for game week 38. But I ended up selling Isak and I brought in Jamie Vardy for his last ever Leicester City game. And when he scored, it filled me with so much joy. That was a lovely little moment, really, to celebrate. So, yeah, joined the Vardy party in game week 37. And he duly delivered with 8 points. What an absolute legend he's been at that club, and an FPL legend as well. Over 1,500 FPL points. So what an absolute legend. But Jamie Vardy wasn't just the only good thing about game week 37 so far for me. I also had a nice clean sheet, differential clean sheet from Emi Martinez. Fair play to those that had Ezri Konsa. I mean, not many people did. I didn't see too many of them flowing around, but fair enough if you did, because, yeah, that's just his second goal all season. And when a defender scores and keeps a clean sheet, they're on for potential 15-pointer territory. And fair play for Cucurella owners as well, because he had a similar success in game week 37. But Emi Martinez has been really good for me in these last sort of 2 or 3 weeks. And I felt that Tottenham game, Tottenham were likely to rotate because they need to focus on this game on Wednesday night. And so, yeah, I thought it was going to be a weak team that Spurs would put out, and maybe that would be a good chance of a clean sheet for Aston Villa. And that's how it did transpire. It was a decision for me between Emi Martinez and David Raya, who are my 2 goalies. And I didn't think, in all honesty, that Isak would miss out. So I thought maybe Arsenal will concede. I mean, their record against Newcastle was pretty poor. Newcastle had the upper hand in a lot of the recent games. But obviously, Isak not playing was a big factor. And in the end, it was a 1-point difference. I mean, Martinez getting 6, Raya getting 7. Not too fussed about that, to be honest. But nice that Martinez has been so consistent. And I'll probably be benching Martinez in game week 38 because Raya's got a Golden Glove to win and a fixture to really give him a good chance of doing that. Whereas the nervy game at the City Ground against Chelsea will be, a tough game for Matt Sells to keep a clean sheet. So we'll see. But based on the way that Raya will want that clean sheet against Southampton, I think he'll probably start for me in game week 38. But happy with Martinez for sure. The defence, though, 2 still to play, and they're both playing tonight. Gvardiol against that Bournemouth side. And Bournemouth, to be fair, they can equally score in that and easily score. So I'm not expecting a clean sheet, to be honest. But a nice attacking return for Gvardiol would be very welcome. Obviously, he's been playing a bit more in the left-back role recent games and, scored in this fixture in the reverse game. So hopefully Gvardiol could pop up with another goal. But on the other hand, I benched Bradley. So when he got the assist yesterday, I was a bit frustrated, to be honest, because I just thought Brighton would probably score. They did end up scoring 2 goals. So, 3 goals. 2 goals when Bradley was on the pitch, but 3 goals in total. So it was a good decision to bench Bradley on that point. But yeah, unfortunately, Bradley picked up an attacking return. But Munoz, if Munoz did have a day off today, which I wouldn't be necessarily that shocked by, based on the fact he's played a lot of minutes this season, and Palace are still, a little bit tipsy after their FA Cup win. So if Munoz sat out the game against Wolves entirely, I would not be complaining at all. With that Bradley assist. But yeah, it was a decision that I didn't have any doubt over. I was going to start both him, Gvardiol, and Munoz with those nice fixtures, and I did think Munoz, he's played a lot recently, so I did think the chances are if anyone was to get rotated, it would be less likely for Munoz. But who knows? The way that Palace would have felt after that Man City Cup win. Saliba, though, is the most frustrating part of it because I had a feeling that, I'd want at least some defensive cover in the Arsenal game because I backed Martinez over Raya. And so I thought, well, if I bench Saliba as well, then I'll really get damaged by a potential Arsenal clean sheet. And I did think, that those games in the past between the 2 sides, have been pretty sort of cagey, 1-0 either way to Newcastle. And so I thought it might be a sort of a clean sheet for Arsenal potentially. And so I played Saliba, and it was a great decision, at half time. He was in for bonus. It was looking good. And then he comes off just before the second half. And it's, FPL really annoying when they do that, because then Kivior, of course, played the whole game and got bonus. So, yeah, the Kivior owners got away with it, really. If you were a Saliba owner, you've got very unlucky, I think. But Raya, yeah, was a bit frustrating when he decides to get a bonus point, but whatever. Saliba is a big problem now going into game week 38, and we'll have to decide whether or not we bench him in game week 38, because defenders, especially on the final day, are not going to have massive upside. However, Arsenal do play Southampton, so someone like a Ben White could be a good investment if we think he's going to play. Good afternoon, Andrew. Hope you're well. Thanks for joining. Yeah, really loved your game week 37 sort of walkabout video. Really enjoyed that. I think it's important, as you said, to kind of get our thoughts off our chest sometimes. And yeah, I'll be really interested to see your game week 38 preview video. But yeah, I think realistically, Saliba is either a bench or a sell in 38. And my thinking is, are there any defenders that are really worth a hit? There probably isn't. So most likely I will just bench Saliba. But if I really fancy the upside of like a Kirkez or potentially an Arsenal defender, then I could do that. But I'm not too sure about that. The midfield, though, in game week 37, did I offend you on the stream with Gary and D Unit? Oh, no, not at all. Not at all, Gary. No, it was, Gary was joking around, and I'm sure, Andrew, you were as well. You didn't offend me at all. No, it's all banter. It's all good. But the midfield tonight is massive for me because not many people have got De Bruyne, and it's his last home game at the Etihad, and it's a vibes pick, of course. People might claim that there's no guarantee De Bruyne starts. Well, I just think if he doesn't start tonight, then that's a really sad way to end his career at City because, there's such an important game for Man City. They've got to win to keep their Champions League hopes alive. And Bournemouth are a side that if they win, could really dent City's hopes. And, if Bournemouth win both of their next two games, then they've got a really good chance of getting that 8th place spot. After Brighton winning against Liverpool, it's looking a bit more bleak for Bournemouth because if Bournemouth don't win tonight, then the chances of them getting Europe are pretty much over. So that's why we have to think about Bournemouth players in game week 38 now because of that Brighton result. I do think if Brighton had not won, then we would have probably looked at tripling up potentially or doubling up on that Bournemouth team. Yeah, I agree. I think he does play most of the game. So yeah, I don't think I haven't got really any worries about De Bruyne playing tonight, and I'm just hoping he can cap off an amazing career of 10 years at City with a lovely sort of haul at home to that Bournemouth side, a side that have defensively not been the best recently. So I think I can think hopefully he could be a nice differential for me tonight. The rest of the midfield, though, I mean, was a bit underwhelming, especially Salah. I mean, Salah, the last kind of few weeks has gone off the boil, but he's only human at the end of the day. Like he's broken the FPL record this season of 332 points or whatever it is now, and he's still going to be miles ahead of his previous record of 303 points back in the 17-18 season. So Salah's been amazing this season, and yeah, it's about sort of time it leveled out a little bit, but he's definitely for me a captaincy contender in game week 38 because yes, he missed that 0.83 XG chance against Brighton, but the fact is he's having those chances, and on another day he hauls big in that Brighton game. And you look at the Palace match. I mean, Palace have got nothing to play for now. They've secured European football, and really, I would say it would be a very tasty game in that Palace one because they're not going to go into that caring. Liverpool have got to try and impress the fans one last time after they've dropped a few points recently, and obviously they'll be lifting the trophy after that Palace game. So look, Liverpool are going to go out for it. I think they're going to put out a strong side in game week 38, and so Salah captain could be really nice. Mbumo in game week 37 was a real frustration. I captained Mbumo because I thought, Fulham at home, it's a sort of game where he would probably score. He did that, but of course it's typical. I think you captained Mbumo too, Andrew, and yeah, he doesn't miss penalties. And this is the one week when we captain him, he does miss a penalty, but at least he got his return. So he ended up matching the Watkins captainers as well. I've seen a lot of talk about Bowen. You've mentioned it just there, Andrew. I mean, Bowen is interesting because if West Ham had something to play for, then I'd probably be more keen on him. Yeah, exactly. He's in my bad books too, Andrew. Like the last 3 weeks, I've captained Nabumo twice. Once was against Man United in a 4-3, and he only got one return from an assist. And then the game this week was frustrating. And the week prior to this week, I'd gone against Mbumo. I'd gone for KDB captain. And although it wasn't that bad because Mbumo only got an assist against Ipswich, it was just like I wanted Mbumo to get me more points, and he's just been underwhelming these last few weeks. So yeah, very frustrating. But still, it was a return for the captaincy, so we're not going to complain too much. But I think regarding Jared Bowen, I think Bowen is a bit of a interesting. If you've got the free transfer and you've got them funds, because he's a bit more expensive than some of those other midfielders. I don't hate it because he's playing Ipswich, right? But the thing about Bowen is, has there any sort of motivation? The form is there, I get that, but there isn't that motivation for West Ham to win a game against Ipswich. So he might just pop up with returns, but I don't know. I'm wondering whether it's worth it, because I could go for someone else like a Newcastle midfielder who's got a lot more to play for, and that might be exciting. And also, Mbumo looked like he's got a black eye, I think, from that from that Forest game. I think he might have collided with a post or something. I'm sure he'll be fine, but be one to monitor, I think, for sure. And obviously, I think I saw FPL tactician saying about how he's got is it like a stag do coming up or something. So who knows? Who knows if he decides Potter to give him a rest? He probably won't. But yeah, that's the thing. Gordon against Everton could be really exciting. I think he's one of the better differentials this game week, and against his old side could be really nice. So with regards to the rest of the midfield, though, Rodgers, again, I wished for a bit more, to be honest, against Tottenham, but again, we'll take the return. It's been one of those game weeks, I think, where a lot of players have got returns, but they haven't got explosive returns. They've just kind of chipped away. It's been sort of a low ceiling game week, which I suppose is not too bad as long as we can get that green arrow, which we're clinging onto at the moment, up from about 94k. We're currently at 90k, so hopefully we can keep that green going into these last 2 matches. But yeah, I do think Rodgers, he's going to be a great pick for the game week 38 fixture, because Man United will have just played their Europa League final on the Wednesday, and then Villa have got to win that game at Old Trafford. And yeah, Rodgers, although he didn't do well against them in the reverse game, and Villa kept a clean sheet actually within a 0-0, I do think Rodgers is a big game player, and this is a big game for Aston Villa. So I think he's a great player to have for the final game. And then in forward line, the forward line of Vardy really did, make my week, to be fair. He was a lovely little differential return. Thank you, Andrew. Thanks for dropping in. You'll miss your new pals if you don't. Oh, well, hopefully I will get the chance, Andrew. Fingers crossed. My hands are a little bit tied with regards to the time next season because of potential job that I get. But if I do get the time, I'll try and produce some content here and there, whether or not it's on my YouTube channel or whether it's with someone else for some episodes of Former Temporary. We'll have to see. But thanks again for dropping in. I really appreciate it. The forward line, Vardy, was really nice to get that 200th goal in his 500th appearance. It just felt meant to be. So that transfer went really, really well. Exclusively live streams. That transfer went really, really well. Isak to Vardy, I was happy about that. An 8-point gain there. Woods was a bit disappointing, but he has been that way for a while, so I'm not too surprised by that. Obviously, it was a nervy game for them against West Ham, and they got the job done. Chris Wood, though, did have chances, so that's encouraging for the final game against Chelsea, where it's a massive game for Forest. They have to win and just keep everything sort of fingers crossed that other teams can do favours for them. But yeah, Poke Master Marcelo Eagles, yes, absolutely loved the Palace winning the cup, Ismail Assar and Will Hughes. It's just what they do, right? So Vardy party, exactly, Marcelo. Yeah, you know it. But yeah, it was a nice little transfer, that one, in for Isak. But Chris Wood, I'm feeling confident about in game week 38 because he scored against Chelsea in the reverse fixture, and it's such a huge game for Forest. So I feel like Wood could do well in the final day. And then Wissa did well for me in game week 37. Really happy with him. Shame I didn't think about captaining him, but yeah, it was never really a consideration. Vardy was more likely to be my captain, to be fair, than Wissa probably. But in the end, I went for Mbumo. Wood to Evan Nilsson. Yeah, I don't hate that though, but I think there's so much to play for, Marcelo, that, Bournemouth, if they don't win tonight, will have nothing to play for against Leicester, whereas Forest have got everything to play for. I will be selling Vardy in Game Week 38, but it's just about who I sell him for. But I wouldn't be selling Chris Wood because he's on pens and it's such a huge game that, this is the sort of game I think Chris Wood could step up for. Johan Wissa looks great as well for 38, a game against that Wolves defense who've, had good moments this season, but have also had terrible moments. And, they are conceding goals at the moment. So I do feel that's a potentially high scoring game. Brentford as well have been leaking them against Fulham. So, could be returns for both attackers there, but I think Wissa could do well. But yeah, the question is who I replace Vardy with. Sorry. And that's the sort of conundrum I've got now. So I'm currently 90k and I'm hoping to push into the top 70k. If I can get a top 70k rank, I'd see that as a massive win based on the season I've had. It's been a bit of up and down, a lot of, highs and lows, yo-yo season. So 70k was my sort of rank target, Game Week 38. And yeah, I also need a huge KDB performance. Fingers crossed he can push me towards that 70k mark, Marcelo. But with regards to the Vardy replacement, it's weighing up a few options really, and we'll get to that in a second. But the bench wise, as I said, a bit frustrating with Martinez, getting only one less, but not the end of the world compared to Raya. And yeah, just so frustrating with Saliba. But here's the thing, like if I do get Munoz or Gvardiol missing out entirely, then I'll get Bradley's assist off the bench, so it's not all bad. Ismail Assar as well. If we do have KDB getting benched, then that's fine because we've got Sarr to come in for the Wolves game. But I don't think KDB will miss out in his final home game. And then we've got, as I said, Bradley with the assist. I'm glad I benched Digne. I didn't think he'd start this game because Maatsen usually starts the home games. And I was right by that. But be interesting to think in Game Week 38, does Digne start? And I think he probably does because he likes to play him in the away games. And recently he's been getting good returns in away games. Digne, 7-pointer in Game Week 36. So thanks for the message. I appreciate that, Marcelo. Yeah, it feels so nice to complete uni, man. It's sensational, really. But yeah, Digne Konza swing has been really annoying. I agree. Just Digne, man, he's just a troll, and maybe he could get me the points I need to get that top 70k finish against United. He could get me an attack and return or something because maybe that might be a good shout. United can't seem to defend many set pieces. But you know what? It's fine. We'll see what happens with sort of predicted lineups for Villa in that game, because obviously if Villa, feel they need to win that game, they might go with their first choice team. And I think Digne is probably first choice over Maatsen, but Maatsen sort of suits certain games. So we'll see with that. A couple comments in the chat from Napstars. He's got 2 free transfers, KDB to Saka and Palmer to Luis Diaz. He has Salah, Bumo, and Barnes. Yeah, I'd absolutely keep those 3 Napstars. Barnes has got huge motivation for the final day against Everton. I think he will start, I'd imagine, because obviously Gordon's coming back, but they could always just do what they did against Chelsea, which is play sort of Murphy as a right wing back and start Barnes alongside Gordon. So I think that would be fine. KDB to Saka is a transfer I'm considering for 38. It's just whether or not you think Saka's worth it, because the form recently for Saka has been really poor. I mean, here's a little fun stat for you people. Did you know that Son Heung-min, who's had one of the worst seasons of his Tottenham career, he's on more FPL points than Bukayo Saka? I know Saka did get that big injury, but it really puts it into perspective. 7 goals and 10 assists for Son, and just the 6 goals for Saka this season. It's not been a great season for Saka. Injury aside, it's been underwhelming. So is he worth it? Is he worth the -4 especially? I would say no. But in your case with 2 free transfers, maybe, if you think Saka does start the Southampton game. But it's just impossible to know, isn't it? Because Arsenal have wrapped up second place and they've wrapped up the Champions League. So if Arteta chose to give Saka a rest, it wouldn't surprise me too much. Selling Palmer, I don't think I'd do that, to be fair. I think that's such a big game for Chelsea that Palmer, yes, he's been frustrating, and yes, he's really struggled for returns, for a few months now, but it's such a big game. I know Diaz is tempting, but is there another way you can get to Luis Diaz? I think that Palace game will have goals, but I just don't know if it's worth selling Palmer really in such a huge match. So yeah, maybe if you can do KDB to Diaz, I'd prefer that, and I'd probably try and keep Palmer if you can. And then maybe, you could use your other transfer elsewhere. But if you've got 2 frees, yeah, I'd absolutely use both of them, but probably not take the hit. But then we also got one from Ricky, Ricardo. Ricky Ricardo is a huge follower of the Former's Temporary podcast and a great guy over in Cape Verde. So thanks for watching, Ricky. I really appreciate your support this season. His question is it's just inside the top 50k. Oh, nice. Really good stuff from you, Ricky. 3 points ahead. I wish I was in your boat, mate. I wish I was close to the top 50k, but I'm about 25 points off it. I'm not going to get top 50k now, unfortunately. Just didn't have a very good game week 35 and 36, but he's 3 points ahead of the top 50k. So you're just inside. Do you think you should defend the rank or be more or less aggressive? This is the thing. It's always the question, isn't it, for Game Week 38 is if you're especially in the mini league, do you defend your lead or do you sort of play aggressive and hope you can sort of stretch the gap further? It's a really difficult question. I think being just inside the top 50k, I think Salah cap just makes more sense. I don't see why you need to risk it because yes, Salah is a bit sort of boring and not exciting, but you are going to just protect that rank. And I think top 50k would be a really good rank for you. So I don't think you need to risk it, to be honest, Ricky. I think you could probably just captain Salah because I think that game has the most goals, in all honesty. I think Southampton, Arsenal, who knows which Arsenal players start. The Bournemouth-Leicester game, if Bournemouth don't win tonight against City, that game is kind of irrelevant for Bournemouth because they won't be able to get to 8th. Now, of course, it's still a good fixture for Bournemouth, but the incentive to win is a bit less. I think people will be sleeping on Liverpool players. And, I understand why, because recently they've not been great, but that is such a sort of high-scoring game, in my opinion. So I think someone like a Gakpo or a Luis Diaz could be really good shouts. Getty FPL said, "Good afternoon. Thanks you for the kind message, mate. Yeah, it's crazy. Finishing uni, it feels so great. He's at 30k. Very good stuff, Getty. KDB, Munoz, and Vardy to play. Yeah, I've got those same 3. So great minds think alike. But who is your top captain pick for 38? I think it has to be Salah, to be honest, Getty. I think it has to be. Getty is just, Ricky's just put a message. Thank you. I appreciate your support, mate. But yeah, look, I think if you're asking me who the top 3 captains are, I'm not sure I would captain Saka now. I'm just not confident enough in his form. So it'd probably be between maybe Bowen just because of his form, but I'm just a bit wary of his potential, to miss out this week and the incentive isn't there for West Ham. But I don't hate Bowen. Maybe I'd say Salah, Bowen, and then another captaincy. Well, if Isak is fit, he could be a great captaincy, but we're not going to probably know that until the presser. So maybe you could go Isak. But if Isak is out, which, could potentially be the case, I think it's probably Salah, Bowen, and then maybe Evan Nilsson, because it's the Leicester game. I know that I said what I just said about if Bournemouth don't win tonight, but yeah, I think Evan Nilsson could be a nice little differential captaincy for those that are chasing. But, even me, who is chasing a little bit, I'm, 90k and I'm trying to get top 70k. I just feel like Salah is the smart play for all people involved. You can go differential, but I think it's better to go differential with transfers rather than with captaincy, because if you go against Salah and his effective ownership is like it was this week, above 100%, like he could absolutely ruin your season. So I just don't think it's worth going against the Egyptian king. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking captaincy wise. And then so that's my game week 37 team. If we look ahead quickly to my game week 38 lineup. So I got Raya in between sticks because of that Southampton game and the fact that he's got Golden Glove to potentially get. I just think the incentive is so high for him to do well. It makes sense to me to start him over Martinez. I mean, United have been defensively really poor. So Martinez could well get a clean sheet. But apparently Martinez could be joining Man United. So maybe he wants to let one in for Man United just to kind of get, enamored towards the fan base. I don't know. But like I seem to remember Martinez a few seasons ago had sort of a little bit of housery in front of the Man United fans when he saved, I think it was Bruno Fernandes's penalty. It's not often Bruno misses pens, but yeah, I seem to remember he saved one of them. Or maybe actually, no, Bruno put it over the bar. That was it. And then, yeah, he did a little dance, his little jiggle he likes to do. So, yeah, I don't know. Martinez could do well this week and he could get a clean sheet. And the thing I'm worried about, though, is United don't have a lot of shots. So, save points wise, a little bit like the Tottenham game, I'm not sure Martinez is going to haul this week. Raya, though, obviously, you could have said the same thing about Southampton. They don't have too many shots. But I think he's gonna do what he did against Newcastle, which is just try and put in a man of match performance. Raya, he wants that Golden Glove. I mean, they're currently tied, Raya and Sells, on 7 clean sheets each, and I think Raya's going to look fancy his chances because that Chelsea game is so big, and Chelsea have to go all out attack really, and it could be a tight game at the City Ground. It could be 1-0 either way. So Raya's just going to have to hope that it's 1-0 to Chelsea rather than to Forest, but. Yeah, I feel like you got to go with the fixture. I think Southampton, they have had a knack recently of getting goals at home, which has been a bit frustrating for those that have brought in players against them, defensive options. But I think Raya, you've just got to start with the fixture. Then the back three I've got at the moment, this is very much subject to change. But I've got Gvardiol, who I think has to play for the Fulham game because of the attacking threat he possesses. I think Fulham could well score in that game because they've been quite good recently, but I think Gvardiol could pop up with a goal. I've also got Digne starting because I'm not starting Martinez. I feel like Digne does start this game. Now, again, it might just be me getting, lured into the trap of Digne, but I think, if he starts this game, which I believe he will, he does tend to start the away games, then there could be a potential differential return here for Luca Dean. He's on set pieces. United defensively from set pieces are very poor. And if United do win the game against Spurs in the Europa League final tomorrow, they might be number one, very, very drunk. So Digne can get attacking returns. Or if they lose, they'll be very depressed and it'll be a very bleak game, which could be a low scoring game. And Villa could get that clean sheet for Digne. So I do think Digne is probably worth starting, but yeah, I kind of appreciate the fact he has trolled recently. Bradley, he's currently starting, but it's just because I've not made his decision about Saliba yet. I need to decide, is there enough upside in taking a -4 to replace Saliba? There probably isn't. So for the moment, I've got Bradley starting, but Bradley could be Munoz because Munoz is on my bench. I think it's interesting with Trent and this whole Trent situation because you'd think that Trent would have played and started his last game at Anfield. But based on the way that Trent's been sort of, cast aside by a lot of the Liverpool fans after that move to Real Madrid, I don't think, it's in Trent's best interest, to be honest, for Slot to start him. So, I could definitely see a Bradley start in this game. And if that's the case, Palace are pretty much on the beach. And I don't think they're going to be, they could well score because it's also Liverpool, party atmosphere. But, it's a sort of game where I wouldn't be surprised if Bradley was subbed off for Trent, but he was subbed off before Palace score. And they do, Bradley does what he did in Gameweek 32 and gets a 9-pointer because he's, kept a clean sheet and everyone else from Liverpool concedes, after Bradley comes off. So I think Bradley could be a good player to start this week and he's got the home fixture. It's just whether I weigh up starting him or Munoz because Munoz has got the more attacking threat, although Bradley did really well to get an assist last night. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but Munoz has had such a good season. We'll just have to see what his minutes are tonight against Wolves and see if Bradley, is maybe the better option. If Munoz, he might get injured tonight. Who knows? But we'll have to wait and see with the games tonight. But that's the back three at the moment. And then the midfield wise, KDB is basically pending a leak. Because I think I probably will sell him in 38 alongside Vardy. Now, this is where the question lies is, I'd be much more comfortable taking a -4 if it's to replace 2 attackers because I know that I'm selling Vardy. I don't see the logic in starting Sarr. Although Sarr could return in that game against Liverpool, benching Vardy and starting Sarr in a 3-5-2 just doesn't really feel as good as all the forwards that are options this week. Like I think Vardy to an Evan Ilson or Vardy to a Watkins could be really, really nice. The problem about Vardy to Watkins is it means having to sell either Digne or Martinez. And then again, I go into the same problem of, is it really worth, a -4 or even a -8 to replace a defensive Villa asset? Probably not. Now, if I think that Digne doesn't start the game against United, then you could argue that selling Digne for another hit might be paid back this week if that defender I bring in, if it is at like say a Kirkes, does do well this week against Leicester. But it's just it's tricky, isn't it? Because -4s, -8s for defenders, you're getting in sort of dangerous territory, really. So I have to consider, how much do I really want Watkins? And the answer is not that much based off how he did last week. And I just think it's a great fixture, but Watkins this season's sort of flat to deceive. He misses so many big chances. So I think hopefully Rodgers should be enough Villa attack in that fixture. But yeah, Vardy to another striker is definitely on my mind. Evan Nilsson's probably what I'll do, but it is a little bit boring because I feel like if Isak is confirmed out, everyone will do that transfer. It's just a bit of a tap in, really. So I could take a bit more of a punt and go someone else like a Gakpo potentially. But then the thing with Gakpo is, do I actually think he's going to play in his preferred position? Because I feel like Gakpo is better from the left. And if it's Diaz on the left and Darwin starting, then we're in trouble. But I don't think Darwin will start because of how poor he's been. So I think Gakpo could be a great shout this week. I feel like Diaz will play a bit more centrally, which maybe means Diaz outscores Gakpo. But I do like the Gakpo punt this week. And potentially even a Welbeck or a Havertz could be an option as well. It's just whether or not I think they're too risky because Havertz, might not start, and Welbeck, Brighton do have to win in that game against Tottenham. But it's the sort of match where, I wouldn't be surprised if Welbeck did what he did against West Ham, where Brighton score 3 and Welbeck just does nothing. So yeah, Welbeck's tempting, but I'm not sure if I want to go there really. So yeah, I have to kind of consider my options really. Do I prefer a forward to come in for Vardy, or do I prefer a midfielder to come in for De Bruyne and I just play Sarr? But I just don't know if it's worth Sarr against Liverpool, which, although Sarr's got a good record against, some of the bigger clubs, he likes a big matchup. He will be up against Andy Robertson, who, defensively this season has not been great. But I just think maybe it's worth, benching Sarr because Sarr is sort of benchable, whereas I wouldn't be comfortable benching anyone else. And if we get news that De Bruyne is, benched, then I want to kind of replace De Bruyne. So I could be looking at a -4 if I get news about De Bruyne, because then I can just bench Sarr, play De Bruyne and replace him, if that makes sense, and then also replace Vardy. But a -4 in a game week 38 is always a risk because you know that you have to have the points be paid back straight away, and sometimes it can be a bit risky. So yeah, it is a little bit template Getty, but Vardy to Evan Nilsson does make a lot of sense. So it might be what I do, but if I feel like that's not going to get me enough gain to get into the top 70k, I've got to try and take a risk, I think, this week. And I probably won't be taking that risk with captaincy. I think I'll probably just captain Salah. So by that logic, I think maybe I take the punt on my forward transfer. It's just who I am comfortable with going with. Maybe Gakpo could be a bit more tempting, especially if Bournemouth don't win tonight and Bournemouth have less to play for against Leicester. Like, this is the problem with Bournemouth players, is as good as they are, you just don't know which one is going to haul. Like, Evan Nilsson's been good recently. Cliver across the whole season has probably been the best pick because he's been on penalties and he's taking set pieces, but he's not been good recently. And then Semenyo's got the best minutes, but he's just such a frustrating player to own. So it's really hard to know who the best Bournemouth asset is. And if I think it is one of the midfielders, then I could bench Vardy and just replace Sarr. But I just don't know if it's worth doing that because I feel like I prefer the forward options this week to a lot of the midfielders. Now, the midfielders are decent. Like, you could get in a Luis Diaz or a Bowen or potentially a Bournemouth mid, like a Semenyo or a Kluivert. But everyone else, like Trossard, do I think Trossard starts? I don't know. And the thing you said, Geddy, yeah, I agree. Like, he is 3.6% owned, but if Isak's confirmed out, which is very possible, that ownership's going to go really, really high. Now, of course, it won't go high enough to hurt your rank, but it still will be sort of such a template move that, if everyone does that move, I'm not going to get much gain from it. So I could still do that move. We'll have to monitor what Evan Nilsson's ownership is. And if he does well tonight, this is the thing. He will get everyone bringing him in. So let's see how he does against City and how many minutes he gets. But we'll have to wait and see. But, I did also consider, do I just go to Saka? And Saka for me is just a bit too risky because we don't know for sure that Saka will play, and the form has just not been there. Like, as much as Southampton is a great fixture to target, you can't target players you don't know are going to start. And Saka's played, the last few games, but he's only just come back from injury, and Arsenal don't need any result at the game, so they could easily start Wanyeri. So, like, I don't know, it's really, really interesting. But KDB to Saka has crossed my mind if I think there's enough upside. I don't think I'd probably captain Saka because I just don't have enough faith in him as in terms of form. But I could just bring him in and captain Salah. But again, if everyone already has made that move, Saka, then will it really give me the edge I need to get into that top 70k? So we'll have to see. Yeah, exactly. This is the thing, Eddie. Arteta's quote. I mean, it has been taken, that quote, a little bit out of context because he said something about, we're going to go to the beach. What he said before that was we need to also finish the season, then go to the beach. So they're not on the beach in terms of what Arteta said just yet. They still want to win that game because, they're relegated with 12 points, whatever it is. It's been a shocker of a season. Like, it would be pretty embarrassing for Arsenal if, they lost that game. So they don't want to go out with a defeat, and they probably want to win. But at the same time, they can play anyone and still beat Southampton. So yeah, I feel like Saka's a little bit too risky for me. But I did think about it, like, Palmer, he's got a lot to play for, but again, the form has just not been there. Like, I could do KDB to Palmer, but I just don't think it's worth it. Like, could you be doing KDB if he gets benched and then Saka's benched as well? That's the problem. So I think I prefer other options, to be honest. I think the value in midfield has been there. The premiums have just not been at the races, to be honest, this season. So that's my transfer plans. We'll kind of finish off with any more questions you've got. Let me know. But at the moment, this is my lineup. So as I said, Raya in goal, Vardy, Bradley, and Digne. And then midfield, I'm pretty sure will be Mbumo, Rodgers, and Salah cap. I just think Salah makes the most sense with his last home game. He still wants that assist record as well, so he's got that incentive to go for the goal contributions record. And yeah, I mean, Palace have just got nothing to play for, so it's tempting. De Bruyne, it's his last game for City, so could I keep him? I think we'd need to get a leak that he started for me to keep him. So this is the thing. In an ideal world, Vardy is the only transfer I make and KDB starts, because I wouldn't want to necessarily take him out when he's got his one last game, and Fulham defensively have not been great recently. So I do think I'd like to start De Bruyne if he does play. If he doesn't, I'm hoping we get the leaks for City like usual, and then it would have to take a -4 and just hope that hit gets paid back by someone with a high upside fixture like a Bournemouth mid, or potentially maybe someone like a Liverpool midfielder. But I just don't know. It's tricky because it's the sort of match where Liverpool could not care about it and just lift their trophy at the end. And if they lose to Palace, I mean, their record against Palace, especially Anfield in the past, has not been great. And they obviously had that sort of the bad memories of Palace denying them of the title all those years ago. Dwight Gale, when Stevie G was back at Liverpool. So yeah, I don't know. It's the sort of game where Palace don't have to go for it, but neither do Liverpool really, other than the sort of the home support. But yeah, I think Vardy will definitely be one of the transfers because I just don't see the upside in benching him and replacing a midfielder. The thing about that though is, if I did end up benching Vardy and I also benched De Bruyne, in that scenario, I'd have to be starting Munoz. So this is the thing. I'd have to go to a back four, and I'm not too comfortable with that. I think playing a 3 is probably the best week to do it this week, and I just don't see many clean sheets going around. So I could, in theory, replace Sarr and bench De Bruyne if we get news he's not playing, and then replace Vardy. But then again, it's another -4, so we have to sort of work that out. But if we get news that De Bruyne is benched, in theory, I could not take the hit. I could just sub Sarr out for De Bruyne, not sell Sarr, and hope he gets something against Liverpool, and then just bench De Bruyne and just hope for the best, really. Because I do think I definitely want to replace Vardy. It's just whether I want to take another hit depending on what news we get about KDB. So that's the sort of transfer plans at the moment, with a front three of probably won't be, definitely won't be Vardy, but it'll be potentially Evan Ilson, potentially one of the other guys like Gakpo or Welbeck, because I just don't think it's worth a hit to sell one of my Villa players to get Watkins. I was so uninspired by Watkins last time out against Spurs. That was a great fixture, and he just wasted chances. Thank you very much, Cole. Appreciate that. Yeah, make sure if you're watching the stream to smash a like on it. I really appreciate the support we've had this season. And it's been really great fun to kind of get your thoughts on the season across the campaign. Geddy said, good luck for 38, everyone. Yeah, absolutely. And we've got to sort of give a shout out as well to FPL Meets. So if you don't know, FPL Meets happens every game week 38. And once again, it'll be at the Thirsty Bear in Waterloo, London. So if you happen to have a free day on Sunday, and you can head down to the Thirsty Bear on Waterloo, then do feel free to pop in and say hi. I will be there. As Pep Guardiola once said, we will be there. We will be there. And it will be good fun. It will be really, really good fun to see everyone and enjoy the drama of the final day unfold. So hopefully the Juice Boys will be there as well, and will be all good vibes. So shout out to Juice as well. They've got their last preview stream of the season tonight. They're doing a live draw for their charity game being played on the 7th of June. I can't make it, unfortunately, because that's happens to be the day I'm actually moving all my stuff back from uni. But yeah, it'll be a really good day out, that I'm sure, on the 7th against the backdrop of Ash versus Nick at Barnet Stadium. So do make sure you to get involved in that, and it's a great cause for Street Child United. So yeah, check that out, everyone that's into the Juice Boys. And yeah, the stream tonight should be great fun as well. They're doing the live draft for that tournament, so we'll see how that goes. But yes, Napstar has said, what's he said? I'm struggling on which one to bench. Ait-Nouri, Burn, or Milenkovic. Exactly, Geddy. 6:30 tonight. We will be there. FLG stream. Who to bench? Ait-Nouri, Burn, or Milenkovic? Well, Burn has got Everton, which I think probably a good chance of a clean sheet. And to be fair, with Tarkowski and Branthwaite now out for Everton, that could be the sort of game like Burn gets, like he did against who was it he scored against recently? Trying to think now. I've forgotten, but in a recent game, Burns scored and ended that sort of goal drought in the Premier League. So he could pop up with another one here for sure. Yeah, 6:30-ish. Absolutely, Cole. Juice always, start fashionably late. So, but yeah, Dan Burn, I would definitely be starting this week. Then it's a decision between Ait-Nouri. I mean, home to Brentford. I don't see him keeping a clean sheet, but he could get attacking returns. And then Milenkovic at home to Chelsea. I mean, it's between Ait-Nouri. I'd probably bench Milenkovic, mate. I think, it's really hard because that could easily be a 1-0 Forest, but it could also equally be a 1-1 or a 1-0 Chelsea. Thing is, Ait-Nouri is his last home game as well, and he's so attacking, but so are Brentford. So there's no chance of a clean sheet, I don't think. So you're kind of going for maybe a potential nervy clean sheet and a 1-0 versus attacking returns for Ait-Nouri. I feel like we can't really bank on clean sheets on the final day. As much as Milenkovic is playing for the better defence, I just don't know if we can be sure that Forest keep one, especially defensively how they've been. Although Milenkovic did just score. This is the thing. Milenkovic did just score. Oh, that's really tough, man. That's a tight decision, Napstars. If it was me, I mean, they're both at home. So, I mean, go with your gut with that one. But based on the fact that Forest are a slightly better defence, even though it's probably a tougher fixture, I'd probably go, oh, you've got Sells. Oh, that changes it. In that case, definitely play out Nouri, mate. I wouldn't want to double up on the Forest defence, although they could get a clean sheet. But if one Chelsea goal happens, then it'll be really frustrating. So, yeah, I'd absolutely play out Nouri in that scenario. Geddy says bench Ait-Nouri, but I just think it's the last sort of game for Wolves, and they'll want to go out with a bang. And Ait-Nouri is so attacking, and Brentford defensively have been really poor. So yeah, actually, I think I would start Ait-Nouri, mate. That's just me because I don't don't really fancy a double up defensively, especially on a final day where there's already so many goals. Milenkovic, he could equally score as well, and even if he concedes, but I think you've got to play out Nuri in that scenario. Colmer's, yeah, so he says it's high Geddy. What else we got? Geddy says up bench out Nuri. It's a tight one. It is a tight one. Maybe look at Rob T FPL. He always puts out some great percentages for clean sheets. I'm wondering whether I've. Oh yeah, so I'll have a little look for you. See if he might have already posted it. I don't know if he has done actually by now, but he might have done. It's such a 50 call. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's one of those that could easily go. It could easily go either way. Let me just have a little look for Rob T's odds here. Yeah, so he's not posted the Gameweek 38 odds yet, but he has posted that final day. I mean, clean sheets wise, there's been 5-0s in a lot of the last few seasons. So Palace beat Villa 5-0, Gameweek 38 last season. Arsenal beat Wolves 5-0. Spurs beat Tottenham 5-0. City beat Everton 5-0. And City beat Norwich 5-0. So there's usually a 5-0 somewhere. So maybe, just maybe, that 5-0 is the Forest-Chelsea game. No, I doubt it. I would imagine the goals won't be coming from that game. It would probably come from, if there is a 5-0, it'd probably be Bournemouth-Leicester, to be fair. Or potentially Southampton-Arsenal. But again, I'm not too sure about the Southampton-Arsenal game, just because we don't know who will start. Palace-Bournemouth was 5-3, I think, a few seasons back. And obviously Palace, that could be a 5-3 game against Liverpool. Spurs-Leicester as well. So 5-4 against Leicester. Could that be a 5-4 Bournemouth-Leicester? Potentially. Spurs do often score a lot of goals in the final day. So that Brighton game could be high scoring. Yeah, exactly. I would definitely go out Nuri, with what Geddy said, spread the risk. Yeah, exactly. 5-3 was the reverse fixture. And that's the problem with Nuri is he's going to probably concede goals, but he did get a goal and assist on that day. So I'd go with how he's done in the reverse game. So I'd definitely play Nuri, I think. Right, let's look at elsewhere. Chelsea 8, Wigan 0. Of course, that's a throwback game. So those are all our questions. Looks like for this week. Let me know if you've got any final ones before we sort of finish off here. But at the moment, I'm looking at benching Martinez, as I said. Sarr, Munoz is on the bench, and that could equally change. That could easily change because if I think there's goals in that Liverpool game, there could well be goals for Palace. Like, thing about Palace, they've got nothing to play for, but Munoz does play every game. So, the chances of him getting an attacking return against that Liverpool defence that have been leaking goals, it's definitely a possibility. And he scored goals against the likes of Man City this season, Munoz, I think. Or was it Munoz? I think it was. Hang on, let me just double check that for you people. Yeah, he didn't get an assist. Oh no, it was the home game with City, wasn't it? If I remember rightly. Yeah, he did. 2-2 draw. He got a goal against City. So he can score against what you'd think would be the slightly tougher teams, and he actually did get an assist in the reverse fixture against Wolves that he's got tonight. So fingers crossed that's a good omen. But he played only 16 minutes against Liverpool, but I'm sure that was down for a particular reason. And it's just whether or not I replace Saliba. I don't think it's really worth replacing Saliba, to be fair, because I just don't know who I'd bring in that'd be worth the -4. Because I definitely want to sell Vardy, even if KDB is out. Because if I'm replacing Saliba, then I'm taking a -8, and I don't really think that's worth it. Man United, West Brom as well. Yeah, 5-5. Of course, that is true. There can be goals on the final day, but I do think people sometimes overestimate it a little bit. Yes, Trophy, my guy, Mo, what a legend. Loved your game week. I think it was game week 37 stream. Potentially it was 36 as well. But your videos this season have been top draw, Mo. Like really, really good. And yeah, you're such a natural. Honestly, your videos with Praz, Deadline Dilemmas, really enjoyed them as well. So keep doing what you're doing, mate. And it's been good fun to kind of get in on the predictions that you run as well. So No, of course, it's no problem, mate. Yeah, this is what I'm looking at. So just to, catch you up, Mo, we've been talking about my transfers. I've got one free transfer. I'm probably going to do Vardy to a striker, but we kind of need to know news about De Bruyne. Hopefully, get a leak about De Bruyne. Great stream. I appreciate that, Napstars. Thank you, mate. Thanks for the help and good luck to all today and in Game Week 38. Of course, yeah, the last two fixtures of Game Week 37 today: City against Bournemouth and Palace against Wolves. But yeah, thank you for Napstars. Thank you for your contribution today, mate. Really appreciate it. Yeah, no, so it's one of those things. I don't know. I'm looking at a few strikers, Mo, but I can't really decide because I'm at 90k at the moment, so I wanna go for it because if I just go conservative this week and then have a red arrow and finish outside the top 100k, I think I really regret it. I think I've got to go all out this week and take a punt. Now I'm pretty confident I'll cap Salah because I just think he's the best option. As simple as that. I think that Palace game will have goals. Palace have got nothing to play for now, and Liverpool will want to win ahead of their trophy lift. So, and Mo is just the FPL GOAT at this point. I know he's missed a huge chance against Brighton and was underwhelming yesterday, but I think every player's doing that. They're not robots at the end of the day. So I think yeah, Salah's probably going to be my captain. So I'm not going to take a risk on the captaincy, but I think I will take a risk on the player I bring in. Now Havertz is, yeah, I see that, Colm. I see that. Mateta, not sure about Mateta. I don't think it's worth it because maybe Mateta, but probably not because Liverpool are still an okay defense. And plus, I've got Bradley as well. I'm not sure I would want to be buying a Palace player when they've got not much to play for on the final day. Yeah, you captained him. Yeah, I saw that, Mo. That's tough, mate. That is really tough. I mean, to be fair, they did go on that trip to Dubai, didn't they? And they are sort of just chilling. I think the difference with the Brighton game versus this game was I feel like there was better captaincy options in 36 and 37. To go against Salah. The reason that people captained Salah against Spurs was because he wanted that win and that goal on the game that could win them the league. And then just like in Game Week 38, I think now there's this incentive for Salah. It's his last chance to get that goal and assist record, the sort of combinations of goal contributions. So there's that incentive for Salah. I don't think there really was that incentive against Brighton yesterday. Whereas you looked at some of the players like Watkins and potentially Bumo as well. If anyone Vardy captainers, I mean, I did consider it, but it was a bit too risky for me in the end. So I captained Bumo against Fulham. But yeah, I do like Salah this week. I just think he's the best option, to be honest. Mateta, not Mateta. Oh, you're still celebrating. My bad, Marcelo. No worries. I thought when you were talking about captaincy, you were. Oh, sorry, striker transfers. You were talking about Mateta. No, you know what? Fine, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, he could well score tonight. But I feel like he might get a rest, Marcelo. To be honest, I think Nketiah might start tonight, but we'll see. This sheep is going Vardy to Evan-Nilsson. Now, Colm, what did I say in the video? As much as I like the Vardy to Evan-Nilsson transfer, everyone's going to do that. This is what I mean. I'm not a shepherd. I'm a shepherd. I'm not a sheep. I'm not a follower. I lead the way. I'm a trailblazer. So I'm thinking of probably doing someone else other than Evan-Nilsson. Now, it might be that I debate all this in my head and I think, you know what? Just keep it simple, stupid, and just go Evan-Nilsson. In that respect, if I did go Evan-Nilsson, then I'd probably be captaining him. I know that sounds crazy, but I do think like if Bournemouth win tonight, the opportunity to captain Evan-Nilsson will be huge because Bournemouth then have to win against Leicester. If Bournemouth don't win though against City, then I'll be put off Evan-Nilsson a little bit more. So it all depends, I think, what happens tonight when it comes to Evan-Nilsson. Salah missed an open goal. Yeah, he did. He absolutely did. Trophy. He absolutely did. But there are some other great options for strikers like Gakpo. I could go instead of Evan-Nilsson, potentially Havertz or Welbeck if I feel a bit fancy. So we'll see. It's interesting. What else are we saying? Yeah, Pokemaster thinks it's the play. Frimpong, yeah, that's a great signing for Liverpool. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think he's quite similar to Trent, though, in the respect that he can really play great play as a attacking fullback, but I'm not too sure about his defensive capabilities. So it might be sort of the same issues on that side of the defense for Liverpool. But they've got Bradley to to kind of have that defensive solidity when they need to, I guess. Random fact: he was at Salah's debut at Watford. Yeah, I was there too, Mo. I remember the day. It was one of our more memorable matches at Vicarage Road in our Premier League era, to be fair, because you kept going ahead and we kept pegging you back. It was brilliant. I think we went 1-0 up for a Akaka, and then you equalised for a really well taken Mane goal. And then we went 2-1 ahead, and we were like, oh, this could be a special season under Marco Silva, and Decore scored. And then you equalised 2-2, and we were like, oh, typical. And it was a Firmino penalty. And then Salah made it 3-2 on his debut. And we were thinking, well, that's it. We've lost. But we fought back, and a late goal from Britos on the goal line. That was a great moment. But it's one of those things where Salah's he's just been class. He's just been absolutely quality. And I think we are just going to captain the best player in Gameweek 38, in my opinion. So, yeah. Napstar says, I have Cunha playing today. Red card incoming. Yeah, probably Napstars. I mean, he's looking like he's a United player already. So he might get a red just to sort of show his love towards red, the color red. Maybe he's going to be in your Game Week 1 team. Yeah, that's true. Actually, if he gets sent off, then he'll be a non-option for Game Week 1. So yeah, maybe not with Cunha. It was a class game. It certainly was. Did you have the Moroccan Amrabat playing for you? Yes, we did. Yes, Norden Amrabat. He was a lovely player for us, Trophy. And actually, in a recent championship game, I think we played Hull a few weeks back, and he was playing for Hull in that game, which is pretty surreal, because in that team in 16-17, when we had Amrabat, Cleverley was playing alongside him. So when Cleverley was managing for us in that game a few weeks back, it was a bit surreal for him to be managing Watford up against Hull, and Hull, one of their players was Norden Amrabat. So yeah, I loved him. He was such a sort of tidy player for us. He wasn't there for long, but he was the sort of player that would get to the byline and get great crosses in. What else have we got? Geddy saying, let's hope not a red card. Would be suspended for Man United's first game. Exactly. Yeah, let's hope for that doesn't happen. You remember shouting at him in our language, and he smirked. Brilliant. Oh, to now know that would have been before I'd met you, Trophy. I met you, was it 2020? I met you first, Trophy, because I'm pretty sure on one of the FPL juice sort of juice bars that we did. Do you remember those juice bars? After the show, we did those things with the juices, and I'm pretty sure I went on a couple of those with you. I think that was the first time I saw you online, and then obviously met you face to face at Fest in 2023, I believe. But I probably saw you before then, potentially on one of the juice tournaments. I'm not sure, but it was around 2020, I think. But that's so weird to think. Like when I was at the Watford game in 2017, you were there, and I hadn't met you yet. That's really weird. What else we got? Pokemaster, are you playing the FPL Juice game? No, unfortunately not. I said that earlier, Marcelo. Yeah, unfortunately, it just so happens to be on the day that I'm moving all my stuff out from uni, the 7th of June. So literally could have picked any other day and I'd have been available, but unfortunately not that day. So shame. It's a shame. I will be though at FPL meets, Marcelo. So hopefully we'll see you there potentially if you're coming Sunday. But yeah, I'm really excited. Looking forward to that. It's going to be such good fun. Exactly. Yeah, gutting. It's a shame because it's right at the start of June, so I think a few people are off on their holidays, so it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But yeah, anyone that does go to that juice event, make sure to have a good time there. And as I said earlier, make sure to you'll be there. Brilliant. Great to see you then, Marcelo. And we can have a Vardy party and a Palace party for them winning the cup. Ismail Assar, you legend. Great stuff. No, I think that's where we're probably going to wrap it up now, though. The stream. I really appreciated everyone that's dropped in, and it's been great to answer some questions. But yeah, I think that's where we're going to leave it. I think my transfer is going to be probably Vardy to either Evan Nilsson, Gakpo, or potentially Welbeck. And if we get news that Isak's playing, by the way, and he's confirmed to be starting, now the thing is, do we trust what Eddie Howe says? That's the question. But I think in that scenario, I would be tempted by Vardy to Isak just because there's so much to play for Newcastle. Good luck, everyone. Absolutely, Geddy. Love those eagle emojis. But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. I think I do need to probably take a hit potentially, but to find out how my game week transfers go, make sure you do tune in to the next 2 Former Temporary podcast episodes. There will be the first one, Game Week 38 preview with Andy Martin, FPL tactician, and FPL Lord Asiphius, which will be really good fun. FPL Lord Officius will be releasing Thursday morning this week. So stay tuned on Spotify for that. And then we'll have our season review, end of season review after Game Week 38's results on the Tuesday, recorded on the Tuesday. So it should come out the Thursday next week. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, the legend Annie Martin, that Lord is class. Yeah, I love FPL Lord Asiphius. He's a top guy. So yeah, it's going to be really good fun. But we're going to have our end of season review with Praz for after Game Week 38. So stay tuned for that. That will come on the 29th of May. I do believe. I think it's that Thursday. So that should be great fun. Really looking forward to that one. And yeah, that's where we're gonna wrap up. But yeah, as to end on this, as Marcella said, this season has really gone fast. The name of the podcast, Napstars, is the Form is Temporary podcast. So check us out on Spotify. We are potentially gonna have a little break though after these last 2 episodes because me and Chris are graduating and we don't know what job we're going to get, so we'll have to see. We'll try and let you know next season if we carry it on, but fingers crossed we will in some shape or form. But we've really loved this season. It's been a second season of the Former Temporary podcast, and yeah, it's been really good fun. So thanks Napstars for your support, and appreciate you checking it out. But yeah, that's where we're going to end the stream. Have you applied to the BBC to replace Gary Lineker? Oh, believe me, Mo, I've tried. I've sent the applications in. My finger is on the button, like it's spamming the button about 500 times, sending those emails. We will get there. We will get there eventually. Fingers crossed. But no, in all seriousness, it's pretty crazy, to be fair, the fact that I'm heading into the world of work. So hopefully I can work in some sort of local radio. Trying to get into football commentary. So yeah, fingers crossed, eh? But yeah, that's where we're going to end off the Game Week 38 stream. I really enjoyed this one. So thanks again for all your interactions. And yeah, have a good Game Week 38, everyone. Good luck. Hope your arrow is green. Hope you have a good Game Week 37. Obviously, Kevin De Bruyne, come on, son. Football gods. Hopefully can kind of carry him through with a big haul against Bournemouth. And then we'll see you for the next Former Temporary podcast coming out Thursday morning. So yeah, thanks for all the content this season. Hopefully we will have an end of season review as well on this channel at some point, sort of around the end of May, maybe early June, if I get the time. So see you next time, Trophy. But thanks for watching again, everyone on the rewatch. If you are watching this back or if you're watching live, make sure to leave a comment at the end when the stream updates and also make sure to give it a share to someone that you think might enjoy it. But yeah, I've been Former Temporaries FPL Yellow Army. See you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.